This is the Share Ourselves Pack and Go system, or PNG. This is the login screen to the Share Ourselves PNG system. In the center, you'll see the video that you're watching right now. But most importantly, below it, there is a number that represents the version of our system. When it changes, you know that a new feature has been added. Below that is the login itself. You push the drop-down menu to select your name. Let's just say I'm Margarita for now. And then you push the begin button to the right of that. I'm the Selves engineer, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and push begin. This is the image acquisition program. On the left hand of the screen are buttons that allow you to access different sections of the program. On the right side of the screen are buttons associated with camera selection and use. There are two different cameras, the pan, tilt, and zoom camera, and the X scope. Let's select the pan, tilt, and zoom camera. You notice there's buttons around the screen itself, and some buttons on the right-hand side. You can use the buttons on the left to move in any direction you'd like. This is Alan, one of the Selves engineers. You can zoom in and out. In some rare instances, you will need to use the stop button. Sometimes the camera will continue moving even though you take your finger off. But that's very rare. There's also a home button that you can use to return the camera to its home state. Also, the camera has a backlight, so if you're in a low light situation, you can use it so you can see things better. This is the X scope. It's actually three things in one: a dermoscope, an otoscope, and an endoscope. There's a plastic cylinder that sits on the top, and at the bottom a swivel that you can turn clockwise or counterclockwise in order to focus the image of the camera inside the scope. You can remove the cylinder by twisting it off, and you expose what looks like an otoscope's head. You can place any standard plastic covering on top of that. It is advisable when you're not using the X scope to replace the cylinder. Now you notice the part that goes in first actually has a lining under it. This is to make sure it fits nice and tightly. This is the base unit to the X scope. On the left hand side there's a standby light and a power button. The standby light lets you know that the unit's receiving power so that you can actually turn it on. Once you do, it may take up to 30 seconds for the X scope to actually turn its light on. If you wish to enhance the image, there are three buttons that allow you to do so, the base unit. The first, white balance, allows you to adjust the intensity of color. The second, the window button, allows you to select from different size windows that actually have increased brightness. And the last button increases the brightness for 3 different levels. Once you're done using the X scope, don't forget to turn it off. To see images from the X scope, be sure to push the button on the image acquisition screen. If there's a black image, it could be because you've forgotten to turn the X scope on. When you decided on a subject to take an image of, you can go ahead and do so by pushing on Take Picture on the left-hand side. You notice that the picture still is on the right-hand side. You can also use this button to take another picture or print. I've decided I don't like this picture, so I'll take another one. It'll return you to the previous screen. I take a picture again, and decide this one's good enough. I'll go ahead and print, which will bring up your operating system's print dialog. Here, it's usually just good enough to push OK, and it should print to the printer that you've already configured with the system. When all is said and done, and you no longer need to take pictures, push the logout button to log you out. You'll be taken back to the home screen, and now someone else can use it. This is an example of the printout that you'll get from our system. At the top, the Share Ourselves logo, the picture of the patient located in the center, and in the description, medical image taken at a certain time on a certain date. There are spaces for the name of the patient, location, and some notes. Notice the doctor field is already populated with the name that you used to log in as. Use a pen to fill in relevant information, and then go ahead and place this in the patient's medical record. On the right-hand side of your touchscreen, there are a series of buttons, the most important which is the power button located at the bottom. When you turn off the touchscreen, it will make a sound letting you know it's been turned off and disconnected from the system. When you turn the screen back on, wait for the sound before you start using the touchscreen. If you wish to adjust the height of the cart, you may do so using this button here. You can push up or down in either to adjust the height of the cart. Just make sure there are no objects obstructing the cart, as it may damage it. At the bottom of the cart is the battery unit. There is a large switch on the left-hand side of the battery. This controls the main power, and shouldn't be switched off unless you intend to store the unit for a long period of time. There's an interface in the middle that tells you just how much charge is left in the battery. There are 4 lights that slowly turn off as the battery charge is reduced. Once it reaches the yellow and red lights, you should plug the battery back in for charging. The technology that powers Share Ourselves PNG is Telios, a project of the California Institute for Telecommunications and Information Technology at UC Irvine, and was made possible by a grant from the Verizon Foundation.